harm that cannot be undone. And James and other white farmers will suffer the harm of being excluded from eligibility for that debt relief program solely on the basis of his race. That harm he has shown is irreparable.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So I've got a doozy of a video for you guys today. You already know me, my name is Samantha. I run a 2-acre farmstead located here in Southeast Louisiana. I work with the USDA. I have an entire playlist dedicated to USDA and oversight. I've taken all the classes that they offer. I'm certified in just about everything you can be certified in. I'm Louisiana Agritourism certified. I am Louisiana certified, which means my products are made in Louisiana. I've taken the FSMA training. I have accepted grants through the USDA. I've taken classes funded by the USDA, and I've actually worked with and taught at programs the USDA. Guess what I didn't know about? I did not know about a program that the USDA funded under Biden's administration for socially disadvantaged farmers. So let me explain to you first what socially disadvantaged means. You're Black, you're African American, you're Hispanic, you're South Pacific, you're a woman, you're gay. Yeah, it's all the minorities, right? You're Native American. It's everybody but white.
Or rancher. The act explicitly lays out who's considered socially disadvantaged.
So just to be clear, if you were American Indian, Alaskan Native, Asian Black, African American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, or Latino, and you were in that group, you were told you didn't have to pay your bills, essentially?
Yes, that's correct, and that your loan would be forgiven up to 120% of the loan value.
So Joe Biden's administration approved billions of dollars to pay off loans for socially disadvantaged farmers. Now I need you to understand something. Not only was it loan forgiveness, but it was 120% of the loan. So that extra 20% just went back into the farmer rancher's pocket. Also, something you need to know, it was not based on income or need. It was solely based on color.
To me, it was combating racism with more racism. I couldn't believe that it was happening in today's age.
James Dunlap owns a small family farm in Baker City, Oregon. He works 2 other jobs to keep his farm afloat, but did not qualify for the loan forgiveness because he's white.
I knew what they were saying was that minority farmers were going to have their loans forgiven for no reason other than they decided to, they being the government. So.
And how much money they had nothing to do with it.
As far as I understand, not at all. It wasn't about hardship. It wasn't about financial situations at all. It was purely what box you checked under that ethnicity line on your application.
If you checked a non-white box, you got the free money, no matter how rich you were. James and other white farmers sued the Biden administration and were successful.
You know that YouTube can't stand me. Like, y'all know this, right? Like the 3rd time they've taken us out of the partnership program. They shadow ban us. They are continually doing everything they can do to shut me up, but God. So today, I need you guys to row with me. Send whatever you can. We are not picky. We're thankful for pennies, folks, so that Stephen and I can continue to raise awareness of what's actually happening in this country. If you look in the top of comments, there are 5 ways that you can row in our boat.
This is where things get interesting. The Biden administration was not ready to give up. They passed the Inflation Reduction Act to help farmers who couldn't pay their loans. It was supposed to help all farmers, but News Nation has learned all farmers were not told about it. News Nation obtaining a copy of this email that was sent out to share information about new payments and/or loan modifications that may assist you. But here's the catch. Our whistleblower says it was only sent to the minority farmers, aka the socially disadvantaged group. And he says USDA workers were even instructed to tell that group to stop paying their loans because they would still be forgiven.
So, Joe Biden got ousted. White farmers pushed back. They said, you can't do this. You can't forgive loans based on color. Like, that's not okay. That's racist as hell. And a judge agreed. The judge said, no, this is not okay. But Joe Biden's administration was not to be outdone. The DEI stuff pushed forward, and secretly, the USDA sent out loan letters only to minorities saying, hey, don't pay back your loan. No matter what you do, we're gonna write it off. We're gonna forgive it for you, friend. So let me tell you what some people in the Black community did that are today throwing a tantrum over. They began to get more stuff on loan. They bought tractors. They bought fruit trees. They fixed air conditioners in their homes. They spent money. They spent a lot of money. And when some of them did not get the loan forgiveness, they screamed racism. They said, how could you do this? You said we didn't have to pay these loans back. So we stopped paying on the loans and we took out new loans in anticipation of you, the USDA, which is funded, I might add, by American taxpayer dollars. You said you were going to pay them off. Now, folks, I know a lot of you don't want to talk about what obviously is happening in America, but you need to understand. I run 2 acres debt-free. I need a new well and can't get it right now because I refuse to take out a loan. I actually wrote a grant for a new well through the USDA and they refused me, even though I'm in a minority community, even though I'm a woman farmer, even though I pull a profit off of my small acreage every single year, they told me no. I have been blatantly discriminated against for grants that I have written, for money that I have applied for to go for learning activities out of state. When I applied, this is what they told me on the application. First spots will go to transgenders, gay, and minorities. Even if those people had no prior experience farming, they had preferential slots given to them to reverse racism. You know, America did this in the 1800s. America did this in 1940. So in 2025, you white farmers don't get anything. You white taxpayers will now fund the spending of Black farmers and ranchers. So out of curiosity, has this happened to you as a white farmer? Has your farm not been given money that was supposed to go to you? Did you receive these letters saying they were going to forgive loan debt? Because what we found out was a whistleblower said that once Joe Biden's administration changed course, they still did not offer this program to white farmers and ranchers.
The whistleblower says none of the white farmers he works with received the email.
They got nothing. You know, it might not meet the legal definition of fraud, but it isn't right. It was discriminatory, it was unethical, and the people who pushed it are still in charge of the agency.
They're still in charge?
Yes. At our national office, they're still, Trump hasn't got rid of them.
What you need to understand is that I work with historical Black farms in my community. I work with them. I do programs with them. We write grants together. And look, I don't mind that everybody gets a piece of the pie. What I do mind is that when blatant racism is being applied to only white people, somehow everybody wants to look the other way, right? Because Blacks can't be racist, Sam. There is no racism in America unless you're white. If you're white, trust and believe, you'll be the last person to get a piece of that pie.
There's arguably, however, nothing quite as harsh as Trump's anger over Biden's DEI policies. Well, in a News Nation exclusive, senior national correspondent Brian Enton spoke to a manager at the Federal Farm Bureau who was blowing the whistle. He says a Biden-era law appears to be helping all farmers, but in reality is only helping some. And he showed us the documents to prove it.
When former President Joe Biden left Washington, D.C., he was leaving behind a DEI secret involving American farmers and $800 million in taxpayer money. And a United States Department of Agriculture whistleblower is now sounding the alarm.
It was to pay off anyone who wasn't a white male's loan. That was the only qualification for this loan forgiveness.
And what was the reaction?
So it was really silent. They were trying to keep this hushed because of the obvious implications of race-based loan forgiveness.
Race-based loan forgiveness. It's in black and white, buried in the American Rescue Plan Act. The United States Secretary of Agriculture shall provide a payment in an amount up to 120% of the outstanding indebtedness of each socially disadvantaged farmer or rancher.
That historically, blacks were discriminated against for USDA loans. A lot of time it came from the fact that loans used to be a lot harder to get people in the 1960s and 70s. You actually had to prove that you had a good track record, that you could make enough money to pay it back. So a lot of people that were denied, it wasn't based on your color, it was based on the fact that you couldn't manage your money. In town running some errands, tell me what you think. I know I'm not the only person upset about this, America, and if we don't make this video go viral, that's on us.